Hey guys, today we're going to talk about potassium. And I don't know if you knew this, but the prehistoric diet was very high in potassium. Currently, an average male consumes about 3,000 milligrams of potassium. Honestly, I think it's less than that, but these are the numbers that I got. Women, about a little more than 2,000 milligrams of potassium, okay, per day. The RDA for potassium is 4,700. Prehistorically, and there's limited data on this, but the data that I found ranges between 7,000 and 15,000 milligrams of potassium. That's a lot of potassium. Our bodies need a lot of potassium for many reasons. One is that each cell has a sodium-potassium pump, so it uses a lot of those minerals to create energy and move things around in the body. Prehistorically, potassium was consumed through greens, tubers, and roots. I'm going to recommend stick with the greens and not do any type of potatoes. But the body is very flexible with potassium. If it has too much, it gets rid of it. If it doesn't have enough, it does retain it. And also, when you're doing intermittent fasting, you will conserve potassium and you won't need as much, okay, FYI. But the body does hold sodium. So what's even a little bit more important than the quantity of these minerals is the ratio of the minerals. You need 4 times as much potassium to sodium. An average person in America has a 1-to-4 ratio. Very light on the potassium, very heavy on the sodium. Not even from the foods, but from the refined carbs that deplete potassium and then hold sodium. So when you do a high carb diet, you're holding a lot of sodium and you're losing a lot of potassium. So you have this severe imbalance. So when you're potassium deficient or you're on a potassium deficient diet, meaning that you're not consuming enough vegetables, you tend to get high blood pressure and a high pulse rate eventually. Kidney stones, insulin resistance. One way to improve insulin resistance is to increase your potassium. When you have insulin resistance, you can't absorb potassium, but taking more can improve insulin resistance. But not having enough can throw off your blood sugars big time. Not having enough potassium can increase your risk of stroke. One big symptom is fatigue and low endurance. You go to the gym, you just don't have that vitality. Can't last that long. Also, it increases your risk for cardiac hypertrophy. What does that mean? It means the heart actually enlarges. When you take potassium, it actually can go to the normal size that it needs. The problem, though, when you go to your doctor and get your potassium assessed, is they're looking in the blood outside the cell. Well, only 2% of your potassium reserves are outside the cell. 98% are inside the cell. That's why they're going to miss it. You have to do a special test, which is intracellular potassium. And the way people are deficient in potassium is they're not consuming enough of the right foods. Okay, so I'm going to show you in my book, this book, okay, on page 122, I listed a lot of vegetables, okay? So what you're going to notice when you read this is that most of the foods on this list are so high in potassium and so low in sodium. It's not even the 4-to-1 ratio. It's probably like 12-to-1, okay? But we do need some sea salt for sure, especially when you're doing intermittent fasting and healthy ketosis. But the point I'm trying to bring up is that when you do ketosis, make sure you do it healthily and make sure you do foods that are high in potassium. It just so happens those foods are also high in magnesium, the 2 top minerals that most people are deficient in. Now, high sugar diets will deplete potassium. Refined carbohydrates will deplete potassium. And stress will do it too. So this is why if you go through surgery, for example, they may give you some potassium in an IV beforehand or during, because the high levels of stress that occur under surgery can deplete your potassium levels. Interesting. So anything with stress, injury, shock, surgery, you need more potassium. And if you don't have enough in your reserve, you can have all sorts of problems. All right, guys, thanks for watching. So if you want more knowledge on how to create a healthy body, subscribe now and get daily notifications. Daily notifications, that sounds weird. Well, I'll just remind you on a daily basis. How about that? Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.